Everyone, and welcome to Safe Room. The Safe Room, a survival horror game podcast. Book club podcast. I'm Grace, and with me is Rose.
I'm so sorry.
Claire. I love Steve. I'm pro Steve.
I'm anti-Steve. Oh my god.
This is the fundamental divide between us.
What was great actually about this video game Code Veronica that we're about to talk about, and the ending, which I will talk about now, is like this game primes you. The entire game cast Canadian. Okay,
right.
Great.
Yeah.
They've laid till the last minute to reveal Chris Redfield, also Canadian.
Yes! Because he goes, I'm sorry. At the end. Oh, wow.
It's nuts.
Well, I guess, like, people were trying to figure out where Raccoon City is when Resident Evil 9 released. Some people think it's Chicago. But it's, like, Midwest area. So it could be like Canadian border situation, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, but he's not Canadian in the other games, is my point.
Right, yes, true. Is this the only, because I think the voice actress who plays Claire is like the same one for a while. But then it might be different.
Is she in the other, I know nothing. Is she in the other games?
She's in 2.
She's in 2. Okay.
She's one of the,
Okay.
She's the other person besides Leon.
Right. Okay.
And then she's in,
I guess.
I'm forgetting.
Is it a judgment on me or Resident Evil that I just thought that was Jill?
I don't know.
But yeah, the Code Veronica. She's cooler here, at least.
Yeah, she's cool.
And then they do the fucking Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory where you fight the final boss as Chris.
Oh my god.
Despite 70% of the game you play
as
fucking...
being Claire. I don't... Well, that thing of, like, Chris being like, I'll save you, Claire. And I'm like, she seems to be doing okay. Like, she's been doing fine this whole fucking time.
Yeah, the fucking plane tyrant, no problem for her, apparently.
Yeah.
So...
Alison Court is the voice actress, and like from Resident Evil 2 to Operation Raccoon City in 2012, she was the voice actress.
Was she like? I'm assuming they recast for like the remake of 2?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Okay.
I think everyone I think Leon has they've cast the same guy as Leon, like 2 remake, 4 remake, and 9, but I think that was also a recast from like Resident Evil 6 backward. If it was I'm gonna look this up because I'm not 100% sure about that. Leon S. Kennedy. Yes, it is a different guy. Okay, yeah. Oh, it's what I didn't know that the merchant in Resident Evil 4, it's the same voice actor that plays Leon.
That's great.
That's
I like,
that's awesome.
That's fun. That's
Hell
fun,
yeah.
That's fun.
Ugh.
So I think I fucking hate this game.
So I mean, you also had like the most miserable possible experience, and I think something that also like illustrates and accentuates the game's serious flaws. To be clear, because
Sure.
I did have similar frictions, but they didn't make me restart the video game. You know,
That's true.
do you want to like enumerate what happened, and maybe we can sort of summarize the game
All right.
alongside that?
Yeah. So basically what happened was I was playing on PS5 because I own this game on PSN. I've owned it for like a decade, and I was like, cool, I'll get to play it now. Apparently PS2 version, not the best version to play, first of all. Second of all, I don't have access to like emulator tools. And so I get to what feels like the halfway point of the game, which is this fucking fight with the tyrant on the ship, and I am just ill-equipped to handle it, and I have no weapons. I'm having a hard time dodging his attacks.
Yeah, because it's like,
so yeah,
you're in this like really tight space. There's this like cargo catapults to like shoot stuff out of the back of the plane that you like shoot at him and throw him out with, but you have to like deal damage in between. You can just shoot the cargo catapult at him, but it takes 5 times, and every time you shoot it, it has to like reset. So, you know, basically, in order, if you were to do it without like shooting him, you would have to like basically perfectly dodge his attacks for like a 15-minute period or something, right? Like a long ass time. And that's like really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I restarted the game on emulator. First of all, so the the Japanese releases of this game and of X have difficulty options.
What?
That are inaccessible to our American and PAL regions.
That's crazy.
We are deemed not worthy of having an easier time playing the video game than the Japanese counterparts. This is the 2000s version of the Nintendo Switch region lock.
Oh my god.
Of its
that's
time.
so crazy.
So that's one thing. There is a handy patch of Code Veronica X that just makes it the US version, but you get all the X stuff and you get the difficulty options, which was awesome. It was great.
Yeah.
I put it on easy. The main difference really was that they gave you more ammo, which was awesome.
Right.
Love that. Very needed for me. So I had a ton of ammo in this game. Notably though, when I did the tyrant fight, all my fucking health items gone.
Oh my god.
That fight.
No.
I just it took everything I had still. But I was able to play through the video game, thankfully. And then there was like a part towards the end where I kind of got stuck and didn't realize where to go, and this game is just fucking long.
It's so long.
Goddamn long.
I do really think, like, I was talking with Ed Smith of Bullet Points a little bit about it, and he was like, the game ends when you blow the tyrant out of the plane.
Well, and then so that is my because this is like a heavily revered video game, right?
Yeah.
Like if you read the Wikipedia reception, it's like this is one of the most iconic Resident Evil games. these people didn't fucking finish the fucking video game, dude. I swear to God. What the hell? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
The actual finishing this game is such a goddamn chore that I agree that like the first like 40% of this game is like really good and solid. The other like 60% is fucking bullshit, busy work bullshit. I just hate it. This is like the first, and I'm surprised it took this long. This is like the first game that we've ever done where like I'm just like, this fucking survival horror shit is so fucking stupid for no reason.
Yeah, no, I mean, I also think that it's like, because one of the, I think, fun Resident Evil things, I mean, it's like in Resident Evil 1, you have the manor home, right? And then underneath the manor home, there's like the laboratory and the corporate base, right? And it's like, that's the Resident Evil, like, division, basically. Is like, you have this sort of, like, almost gothic kind of aesthetic, right? Of, like, old wealth. And then also this sort of, like, science fictional 90s slick thing. And the first half of the game has, like, this interplay between that. Because it's, like, a manor home, the military training facility, and the prison, right? And the way that those like three locations all intersect with each other. And so I think there's this like really fun aesthetic thing. Like I fucking love when you go to the like manor house and there's like the huge staircase that goes all the way up and there's the giant hanging doll in the middle and like all the dolls everywhere. It's like this sort of ornate like that stuff. And then you like go to the Antarctica base and it's all like gray fucking walls, right? And like, you know, it just like, it's not just, I mean, and you do have some repeats of some of the like manor location stuff. And there's like a cheeky, like, oh, you remember this room in Resident Evil 1 thing? Yeah. Which, yes, I do. I do remember that room in Resident Evil 1. And but you just don't have that like dichotomy in the same way. I think it's like it diminishes. There's just less interesting stuff to look at, and I think that is like an important part of this sort of game. I think it's also this is a problem I have with RE9 as well. Sure. Is that game is like not. It looks really good and runs really well, but is not like aesthetically interesting in the way that like RE4 has some fucking shit in it that's weird to look at, you know. I think that's like a fundamental appeal of these games, and I think it's something that this game has for a good chunk of it, and then can't sustain for like the parts of the game where it is especially kind of laborious and a chore, right?
Yeah, I agree. I do think this game, weirdly enough, like signals the like Resident Evil bloat in a really interesting way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where like, yes, it is survival horror and it is like the most. It is Do you know how like when people used to make Mario Maker levels to piss someone off? That's what this game is to survival horror fans.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, you're gonna pick up a potted plant, a room that's separate from another potted plant that you actually have used to heal. You're gonna pick up a potted plant, and actually, there's a key under it. You wouldn't know it unless you went looking for it.
Oh my god,
that kind of bullshit. But like, it is that. But then, like, the story aspect of it, and especially all the stuff they added in Code Veronica X, where it's just, like, all of these, like, Wesker scenes where he's just, like, doing the Neo from the Matrix moves all over the place. It's just, like... And then at the end, he's just, like... He's, like, doing wrestling taunts at no one, seemingly.
He is! Oh, my God! It's true.
It's like, what are we doing?
I love Wesker. He's so silly to me.
He's a diva.
He is. He literally is. All black everything. Okay, yeah. He's got the Chanel boots. All right, like
he does. It's like for what other reason?
Yeah,
he's just the love of the game for him. I don't know.
Oh my god. And he's like, I have Steve's body with the T Veronica virus.
Does Steve ever come up in Resident Evil again?
I don't think so. Not that I remember. Because the other big Wesker game is 5, which we played together. and I don't remember anything about Steve because it's mostly following up on plot stuff from 4, because that's like the like virus in that is what Ada brings after the ending of 4 to Wesker, I believe.
Okay.
If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's, I think, a really, like, silly... Like, I think the camp stuff in this game is mostly really good. And, like, the thing I like about Steve is the sort of, like, melodrama. Like, you know, he and Claire... He's, like, this prisoner in the same prison that Claire is in. His family got mixed up, like, was in debt to Umbrella and got shipped off to this, like, military complex / penal colony in the middle of nowhere. And he's like this brash, like kind of stupid teenager, because Claire's like 19 and he's like 17, which was because I unlocked him in the battle mode and it has like I was like, he's 17. That's
what
crazy.
Is the battle mode, by the way?
It's like you run through rooms and fight zombies like through the rooms, and it's all locations from the game that are like strung together. It's not particularly exciting.
What happened during this development period? Because the campaign already is a bunch of ideas thrown together in a big campaign, and then they make a battle mode.
Right. Well, I think it's like, because I think 3 is the first one that has like a mercenary style mode, so I think it's kind of continuing on that track. And I think it is already also like, there is a bit of a turn, I think. I mean, Resident Evil has always had kind of an action movie flavor, right? Yeah. I don't think it's never been like horror. It's always been tinged with action movie stuff. Like the end of the first game, you blow a guy up with a big missile, right? Like it's, you know. And I do think that there is Resident Evil 4 is kind of the apex of this, of the like initial wave of games, where it's like, this is straight up an action movie. It's not really survival horror in the same way. There is some, there's inventory management and there's some stuff, right? It's not totally detached from that. And it feels like the aiming, the sort of reflex stuff of it is way more the direct sort of focus of it than the like puzzle box interconnected place, inventory management stuff that is still like pretty present here. And I think there is sort of a part of it, it's like in the transition between those phases, I think, a little bit. Which I know also 3 is like very kind of action movie forward. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. I forgot how we got here. I forgot.
We were talking about how much of a pain it was. And like, we were talking about, why is there a battle mode?
Oh yeah. Why is there a battle mode? That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I do think that like the thing is with, what's interesting about the combat in this game and in, Resident Evil 1, right, is the sort of like, well, I have certain weapons that are really powerful. I have certain weapons that aren't as powerful. And there are like ways to use them that I realized that like if you like point your knife down and slice at zombies' legs, they'll sometimes collapse and then you can just like kill them without using any ammo. Right. And so it's like about this kind of like managing the inventory, thinking through like what you need in what context, and like building, like setting up your inventory around that, leaving stuff in the box. Right. And I think that like, so fundamentally like shooting things is not the part of it that is interesting. Right. And so it is a little weird to have a mode where it's like, and you're shooting stuff, Yeah. And it's like, I'm sure you could do it like more efficiently. I'm sure there's like some engagement there, but it didn't hold a lot of appeal for me. I played like a minute of it and then was like, I think I'm good.
Yeah. But I think we got here because of Steve. Because Steve is 17.
Yes, Steve is 17 years old, which I found out. Yes, that's right. Because basically, so, and then he accompanies Claire like throughout the game. And eventually like they fall in love, have kind of this romance. They get separated after trying to escape from the Antarctica, because basically they escape in this plane from this is also the thing, is it has 2 like big self-destruct sequences, right? Because there's like 2 big bases. they get in this plane. They, Claire defeats the tyrant.
No disrespect to that lady, but if I hear that self-destruct message one more time, then I'll lose it.
Yeah. They are flying away, but then like the plane's autopilot kicks in and sends them back to this Antarctica base. That's like the satellite operation of this. The name also comes from Code Veronica. Veronica is the oldest like ancestor of this like long family, and she's apparently like a super genius and like the matriarch that everyone in the family looks up to. And the principal villain besides Wesker is Alfred and Alexia, who are twins, like born artificially somehow from Veronica's DNA. I don't remember the exact specifics of how that worked. And they find this out and like kill their dad in vengeance. And then Alexia's like, I can incorporate the like nascent T virus into me and become like the ultimate life form. But to do that, I have to like be in a coma for 15 years. And Alfred's like, okay, I'm really sad. You were my, like, we are maybe romantic partners, I guess. Potentially, it's hinted at. And then, so while she's like underground, he's like, I guess I'll start cross-dressing as her because I miss her so much. And so initially you don't think there is an Alexia, it's just him, but then he like into Antarctic base. This game is crazy. Not the twincest transphobia.
Yeah, it's Elden Ring.
Hey, I'll defend this. I think the stuff in Elden Ring is cool as hell.
Oh yeah, I mean it's better than this for sure.
Yeah, no question. But yeah, that's and so then Alexia is the final boss, and she like turns into a big dragonfly, and yada yada yada.
They give her fake Parasite Eve music, which pissed me off too.
Oh yeah, they kind of do.
With the fucking like synthesized opera voice.
Right, yeah.
Hated
old money,
that.
I guess. The thing happens with Steve is he gets like injected with, they get separated as they're trying to escape the Antarctica base in like a, snowmobile. And Claire like goes to rescue him and then finds him like chained up, and he's turned into a monster, and then like fights the like big tentacle creature that's like part of Alexia, I guess, or like part of the ant colony that she's cultivated or whatever. And dies, like saves Claire and dies in the process. And I think that's like that, like the fundamental like family. I was also thinking about how like Claire and Chris are parallel characters to Alexia and Alfred, right? They're both sibling pairs, right? They're both, and so there's like, I think there's just like a fundamental like melodrama layer of this game that like I did find fun. And like Steve being this like tragic, like hapless youth is like fun. Although he's also like so annoying, and I don't know what Claire sees in him. But that's like a separate point almost.
Well, that's also the thing is like she looks like a lesbian in this game. I don't know.
Oh, she does.
How else to say it?
I want her jacket.
The jacket and the jeans. Come on. What are we doing?
Well, I think that is, we were talking a little bit about this. Like, I think this is kind of a thread, like not explicit, well, outside of this game, I guess. But kind of like subtextual homophobia is, I think, something that's in like RE4, that's in RE9, right? That is kind of a thread, despite there also being like Leon being like so, I don't know, the most bisexual man to only have ever been explicitly with women on screen, Yeah. I think there is this kind of like, because like Resident Evil, it's about like corruption, right? It's about like you get injected with this thing, it turns you into something that you don't want to be, or that's evil, and that like corrupts you and molds you, right? And it's like very easy to like make that about AIDS, or make that about like homosexuality, or something that's like infesting or shaping you, right, in this way. And I think that's something that like the games have a subtext about that they just haven't, that they haven't fully explored, but also have not avoided, right? It's just like part of the DNA almost. I think both of like the action movie stuff that it's building on and some of the like more I don't know, like conservative oriented horror that it's also pulling on.
I thought this game was going to be so much better when we got a video of two creepy kids.
Yeah. That video is awesome where they like tear off. The video is
so fucking good.
Yeah, they tear off the wings of the dragonfly and like toss it to the ants and stuff, and then like look at each other.
Yeah, it's so sick. I wish there was more of that. That was awesome.
Yeah. Well, because I think that's like I mean, and I kind of like Alfred as like because he has this like lilting aristocrat voice that is like, "You're meddling with my plans," and shooting his sniper rifle or whatever, and that's like fun. It's like silly. But there is something. There's almost like a Rule of Rosie kind of feeling to that cutscene. That would be nice if the game explored more. And you have sort of the locations. Like I do love the manor home with all the dolls and stuff. I think that's so cool. But it's just sort of like they are characters that are sort of like able to be written off. They're kind of inhuman, right? And so thereby I don't think they really become like actually sort of threatening or interesting, right?
Yeah, I don't really know what Alexia's deal is.
Yeah, she wants to be the queen ant for question mark reasons. Yeah, it's not. I feel like, and this is also the thing is like Wesker being like when Claire first encounters him and he like grabs her and is like, "I hate Chris." It's like, this time it's personal, right? It's like very human motivation, I think, in a certain sense, right? Also that scene in front of like the manor is an X add-on. Right, I was going to say, yeah. I guess, is that also like leading up to, because I don't know, because it does seem like there's a little bit more like cross media proliferation, like starting with 4, that it's like 4 sets up 5 and 5 sort of sets up 6 in some ways, right? At least with like the BSAA and whatever, right? That there's sort of some big plot stuff that's sort of worked over or carries forward from 5 into 6. So I don't know. I feel like that's maybe part of it is that doing X, it's like, oh, we're setting up future franchise stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's mainly just like Wesker stuff and like wait. Did they please hold?
I'm holding.
Did they change Steve's hair?
What?
I think they changed Steve's hair, I think.
Resident. Oh yeah, also Steve's last name is Burnside. Which is crazy.
I hate that.
They did change Steve's hair. That's crazy.
That's nuts.
He does look way more dweebish in the original.
Yeah.
Because he's got that middle part.
Yeah.
Which is very like late 90s, early 2000s.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
They fucking Spider-Man'd his ass. Crazy. Yeah, this is something I should have done before the pod, but we're here.
We're here. We're out here. Wow, that's so crazy that he changed. So what what were we just talking about? I lost it. I was too bewildered by Steve Hare.
Oh, the Wesker scene with the
Right. Yeah. The other thing with Steve, also he has aura, which is important to mention. Because he like dual wields he gets the golden lugers, which you need to open a door, and then you trade them with him with like some machine guns, and then he's like shooting them. And there's the part where you play as him, which I forgot about, where he's like, "I'll clear the way, Claire," and then you like go through the you should kill all the zombies with the submachine guns in the next 3 rooms or whatever. I think that is like a weird, we talked about this a little bit already, but like that is like such a weird thread of this game where it's like men protecting Claire from shit. And then like Claire being literally like kind of locked away and Chris being like, I'll take care of this, throughout, or Chris being like that. And I think it's just odd because she's such a like, these characters don't really play differently, right? They're oriented the same way. They have the same sort of set of abilities. And yet like Claire is sometimes treated as someone who like needs to be protected, who must be looked after. Right. And it's really like odd kind of, I guess, ludonarrative dissonance. I don't know. Thing. Cause I was thinking about this in relationship with Requiem, which does have this very gendered kind of binary of like Leon is the action hero, right? And he's the one who can kill zombies en masse, that can like fight bosses easily, that doesn't have to sneak around. And like Grace is the one who has to hide, has to like use stealth, has to more carefully watch her inventory, right? These kinds of things. And that division does, and she also is the one who has like a mom arc, which I won't get into for spoiler reasons, but like it, I think that there is like a strong kind of gendered divide between them in a way that like, RE 1 through 3, and to some extent this game, right? It's like both the male and female characters are action heroes. They both have to do the same kinds of things and best the same kinds of challenges, right? And there is sort of an equivalency drawn between them for that reason, right? And it was a little disheartening to kind of come back to this and be like, oh, the thread that is in RE9 of this is kind of here too, right? Even though like in practical terms, like she's just as capable a soldier and like fighter as Chris is, right? But I guess that's not narratively true because she's just an ordinary girl and he's like a STARS member, right? Or whatever, know? So I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me too is like it doesn't make the dynamic, the like contrast between Alyssa and I was gonna say Albert. What is his name?
Alfred.
Alfred. You can't contrast them if also the relationship between Claire and Chris doesn't also come off as a bit weird.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think there's, I don't know, because I guess it's also, I mean, maybe this is the cynical way to read it would be that like, in the other relationship, right? It's Alexia who's powerful. It's Alexia who can protect Alfred and who also disregards him ultimately, right? It's Alexia who like sort of minds so much that Alfred mimics her, becomes her in some sense, right? And that's like a disordering of the proper way of things, right? Where like Chris and Claire represent the like correct, more heteronormative means of like a brother-sister relationship, not just in terms of like they're not incest or whatever, but just in terms of like he's the protector, she's the one like being protected, right? He's the one who's like the powerful action hero, right?
Yeah.
And I think there is like a weird thread of this because again, like the Ludo element of this is like they are equivalent, right? They are not distinct as far as I can tell in terms of like how they play, how much health they have, how they aim or whatever. None of that stuff is different. It's just that there's like this narrative layer put on top of that makes that stuff more complicated.
Yeah, it's strange. They also just the way they interact with each other. It's like nobody who made this game had a sibling ever.
Right. It feels, well, because I think there's like, I kind of like that scene where like Steve and Claire are like leaving in the snowmobile and they're like, they're like genuinely happy and excited to be together. And it's almost like Claire is like, oh, what a relief. Chris is here to save me. Right? Like there's sort of not like, there's not a lot of concern. I mean, there is some concern for Chris because when he's like, go, she's like, oh no. And then she's waiting in the plane worried about him beating Alexia. Right. And the like, it just sort of feels like there's, they don't get to have like genuine human moments together the way that I think like Steve and Claire do, right?
Mhm.
Even though it's like a little weird and stilted and he's such an asshole. Right. And this is also like, I think this is the first time we see them like on screen together, right? Like, I don't think there's a scene in RE2 where they meet up or something. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, it is. It's just the whole like, yeah, my brother is keeping his promise to always come back or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And then at the end, she's like, promise not to break that promise again, and like she like touches his arm as she's saying this. It's just like, I hate this.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
Yeah. Also, like, Steve, come on, buddy. Like, she's asleep. Why are you trying to kiss her while she's asleep?
Oh my god, yes!
What's going on?
What the hell?
And then the fucking music that plays too when they like get romantic together is awful.
It's so bad. Yeah.
I hate it so much.
What is it? Because it's such a like, yeah, generic. Like, it feels like the Garage Band like movie love theme .mp4.
Yeah. It's also just like he looks over at Claire while he's like moving like the machinery.
Oh, right, and then fucks it up. He's too busy looking at her ass to
it's like,
fucking
bro,
operate the machine properly.
Get it together.
Yeah, totally. Oh. Yeah, I was also a little, because I did feel like the tedium of it, and I feel like I'm having a little of a hard time articulating why is RE1 so exciting, and even like I liked the bit in, I mean, it's no Spencer Manor home, but the like first bit of RE9 where you're in like a big mental health facility, that's basically like a Spencer Manor home. I think that stuff is pretty well done. And I think that's also kind of where we're getting some of my RE9 opinions, but because I dislike the Leon sections more on average, and part of it is that like they work best as like short little bursts of set pieces, and when the game's focused on Grace is when I think it really shines. But because in theory, I really like the idea of like, hey, in the first half of the game, you play as one character and you go through this area that is mostly destroyed. And then the second half of the game, you play as a different character who's going through the same area. And so there's like new parts of the area that you interact with, and also like things that you know about the area remixed, right? Like that's a really conceptually, I think, very cool idea. And there's like some fun stuff where it's like you see an item behind a wall that then is like blown down when Chris comes back through, right? And I know that like RE2 is built around this sort of mechanism a little bit of like, you play as one character and leave items behind for the other character and like things like that, right? But I felt like that this mostly like led into tedium. And it's also like the game does not really signal when you swap from one character to the other or what you'll need when you do so. Right? Which like becomes a problem. Like I had to replay like 30 minutes to an hour of game because I was like, well, like I'm stuck with Chris in a bad situation and have no means of like fixing this problem, you know?
I fucking could not believe that this video game gave you an extra knife to cut Claire down from the wall, but they couldn't be bothered to give you another bow.
Yeah, I don't. You pick up so much bow shit as Chris, and I was like, I did not know that, like, I wasn't like, oh, I need to leave stuff behind so that Chris can pick it up later, right? That's not a thing that the game articulates to you at all, right? And it's like, it's like an interesting idea. I think the idea of like swapping between two different characters that you're like planning on like giving things to one or the other, right? I think that's a cool concept to like build a game like this around. It just feels like so clumsy and weird here. And I don't know. I mean, I think because I think something you and I both like want to avoid on this show to some degree is like, wow, this game is old and it's primitive or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of loaded language. But like, I just don't want to say like, I don't think the game design of this era is like less mature than now. And in fact, sometimes I think the opposite, right? But this is something where I feel like the design feels manufactured to annoy rather than to like be, you know, thrilling. And I think there were parts in the early game where, like, I do like the section where there's that, like, hallway where you have to put your metal items into the box to go through. And then you have to, like, think about how to navigate around that to pick up some items and get some extra things in other areas, right? There's, like, there are just some really clever puzzles that are, to some degree, designed around inconvenience, right? That it's like, you don't have the shit you need, or it's somewhere else, and you have to like figure out how to negotiate and work with that, right? Part of what makes these games so compelling is that friction, but like sort of the thing of like facing up to like, I have to spend like 30 minutes to an hour doing a thing again because I didn't bring enough green herbs is like such a just like soul sucking thing. Because it's not that it's not like, oh, I've learned something new that can structure my approach differently. It is, I will do the same thing again, but with this item, right? It's not like a Dark Souls thing where it's like, oh, now I understand, or now I've like learned something where I've had like a cool experience. It's like, oh, I'm just going to like experience TDM yet again, right? I think it's a really like, yeah. And I think that showed up for me in the first half of the game, and it just escalates. Like it becomes kind of the game's defining marker in the second half, I think.
Yeah, people talk about the metal box thing as like one of the harder things in the game, and I thought that was like one of the few solid puzzles in the game.
What are you talking about specifically?
The metal detector stuff.
Oh, yeah. It's tricky, and it's also like annoying because you lose your shit. But no, it's cool. I mean, I don't think it's annoying. I understand how someone could find it annoying. Listen.
But compared to the rest of this fucking game?
No, I agree. I'm fully with you. I'm trying to be charitable, but I don't need to be. This is our podcast. We can talk shit. Listen, I've spent like the last month being so annoyed at people saying marathon is annoying. Like I have high tolerance for this.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think the game is, you know, I think people, I don't know, people find stuff annoying that I do not find annoying is like what I have learned from this experience, right? But
yeah,
I'm trying to think if there's other stuff in the first half that I want to talk about. I did also play this game over like a longer period of time than I usually do. Because also this was the thing we ran into a little bit. It's like you had struggled with that boss, and then also I had like a really busy weekend that weekend that we were going to record beforehand. So it just like didn't quite work out. And the game, is just so long. And it does, I think it also has like, there really are two distinct game arcs in it, right? Like it does feel like two games kind of strung together. I like the way that the dragonfly is like a recurring motif that you like encounter something early in the game that then is like a puzzle later on. I think that's really clever, right? I think that there is like, this is still a game that feels very crafted, right? And so a lot of that feels like, I don't know, because there's a kind of design where it's like you can hear the designer laughing at you a little bit. Right? Like there's that part early in Dark Souls where you like go up the stairs and they like roll down the barrel or whatever, like the flaming or like the big ball, right? That's like, it's basically supposed to kill you. You can't anticipate it. This is like one of the things that people say Dark Souls is like, oh, it's always fair. And like, it's not true. Sometimes it just wants you to die, right? It is spiting you. Anyway, and like, this doesn't feel like that to me so much as it feels like, it just feels annoying. I don't think it, like, there's sort of it's not funny to me. It's just sort of frustrating.
I think it's like funny in moments, but
right.
Yeah.
Like, it was funny when you texted me and you were like, fuck, I left the fucking fire extinguisher in the metal detector.
For the magnet. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, if you're gonna have okay. I thought it was dumb because I thought it was required. But if you're gonna do like here's the best weapon in the game, hope you brought that fucking fire extinguisher that you didn't need.
Right? Yeah.
That's fine. I like that.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I agree. Okay, it was also because you were just having struggles with that last bit we were texting and like,
oh my god,
and so you were like, well, because you were like, I left it in the box, and I was like, oh, it sucks, me too, and you were like, well, wait, what did you do? And I'm like, oh, you don't need it. And you're like, oh, thank God, right? Like, oh, yeah, oh. Because I do think sometimes like the way, there is a way that like playing something on a deadline, playing something to talk about it, right? It shapes your experience with it a little bit,
This shit must go hard if you don't have a job.
Right.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah. So I do think some of our frustration here is based around like, we're both busy people and have other shit to do with our lives, and like having to kind of go through it, wade through stuff that we've already done, or especially stuff that was like tedious. Like, I think that had additional aggravation, and I might have had more patience under different circumstances. And still, I don't think that makes the design, like, there are circumstances under which the design is more tolerable. That doesn't make it good, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is like, again, I'll say this. This is the first game where I'm like, the game design is, dated is the wrong word, but that is like how I felt about it.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
We've played so many old games on this pod that are fine, that are like approachable and like but difficult, and this is just like so annoying.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, like, this is like the hardest time I've had with a game outside of like Dino Crisis 3.
Right. Yeah. Oh my god. Wow, Dino Crisis 3 sucked. That game is so bad. Fuck. Oh. God, I'm like, wow, Code Veronica, absolute masterpiece. Total banger. The thing I was going to say was, well, I think it also, there is like, because you were talking about how praised it is. I do think there is an interesting thing to maybe hook on there, because like, fundamentally, I found like Rule of Rose way less annoying than this, right? And that is a game that is kind of tedious and frustrating by design, right? That has like a lot of sort of quirks, and it's also like fundamentally kind of like, there is Resident Evil, despite me sort of saying like the fun part about shooting is not really the shooting in these games, and I stand by that. And like the shotgun still feels good in some way to shoot, right? There is still like a mechanism of like, I am using a weapon and it feels good in my hand, and like I'm killing things faster with it, right? Versus like, the knife is not as fun to use as some of the other heavy machinery, right? I think that like there is a game feel element, whereas like Rule of Rose, you have your like fucking fork or whatever, and you're like, it's like kind of miserable, right? But like that is a game that like was sort of, critically, I don't want to say maligned, but it's more mixed because of this stuff. And like fundamentally, like that was so much less of an obstacle to enjoyment than this stuff was for me, even though there's sort of like, this has more immediate accessible sensory pleasure, right? I think that does matter to people like a lot, in a way that maybe, I don't know that it matters as much to me, depending on the context, right? Because I think I was talking with a friend recently about Pathologic, which is a game that people say is not fun to play, and I do disagree with that. I think it is fun. It just is not, it's stressful, and it's not fun to shoot the gun, right? It's not fun to walk around, right? It doesn't have these sort of like basic kind of kinesthetic pleasures, right? The pleasure of the game is like more conceptual, more logistical, right? And it's like thereby kind of less accessible and less immediate, right? And I think fundamentally, like, I don't necessarily mean this in like an elitist way, but I think fundamentally I care more about that second layer than the first layer, right? I would rather play something that like hits my brain a certain kind of way than play something that, you know, is like feels good in my hands. And sometimes it matters. Both matters. Like, this is also the thing, is like, I don't know that I would enjoy Marathon if the guns weren't fun to shoot, right? But they are, so it works out.
Yeah, there's also like Silent Hill F was one of the more tedious games that we played for this.
For sure, yes, 100%, yeah.
But at least it has the aspect of like the gameplay is like it meshes with the story in a way that is cool.
Does. Yeah. And I was really high on the combat after the first playthrough, and it was only like in the subsequent ones that I was starting to lose my interest with it. Yeah.
But like the knife, the kitchen knife is the strongest weapon in the game. Not because kitchen knives are the end all be all, but because in the emotional space of Hinako, that is a symbol of anxiety and dread, which is why it's the most powerful in the game. This has nothing. There's nothing.
Right. Yeah.
There's no substance to this at all.
Yeah.
And it just feels like busy work to me.
Yeah, that's also something that like I do think, because like one of the reasons RE4 is so fucking good, right, is that it has like the to me that is a game so full of this kind of kinesthetic pleasure, right? Like the reload animations, right? The like way heads pop off, the way like there's this whole, it is this engine of like getting this, and you know, that's also some of the fun stuff about the thematics of the game is like Leon is this, you know, body that's constantly being like hurt and wounded and stuff. I mean, I've written about this, right? And I just think there's something like juicy to dig into on kind of both sides of that, both the sense of like, I'm playing this game and it feels really good in my hand, and that means something in the context of the world, right? And this just doesn't really have that. I mean, you know, I've gestured at some of the like, oh, there's, you know, this is a game about like two sets of siblings and like the differences between them. They're fellow characters. They just said that, you know, Steve kind of this like innocent who's caught in the middle of this like conflict that is really outside of him. That's about like choices his parents made, you know, and that he has to like, he's trying to find new life in Claire. Like Claire represents this possibility of escape, but eventually he succumbs to like the, you know, there's like, there are themes, there's melodrama, there's stuff going on, but it doesn't have the juice, you know, it's not like, there's not that much there to dig into, right? And it certainly is not like related to the active play in the way that it is in something like Silent Hill F, right? Well, yeah. Should we move on to emails? How are we feeling?
Oh, how did you feel when Claire Redfield said you cross-dressing freak? Because we didn't really talk about that.
I'll be honest. Like, I don't know. I kind of find this sort of 90s transphobia sort of charming. which is I'm not saying that someone could not be offended at it. Like, I think that's a perfectly reasonable reaction, and obviously it's bigoted. I'm not trying to make excuses for it and say, oh, it's good, actually. I don't think that. It's just sort of like disconnected from reality to me.
Yeah.
Right. And I understand that like there's, you know, kind of a broader argument about like depictions in kind of total creating this image of trans people that like distorts people's image of them, right? And I just sort of, I just find it kind of crazy. And I do think it does feed into this, like, I do think there is a side of Resident Evil that is kind of like regressive politically, right? And that like, I mean, it's, you know, the racism of RE5 is like set up by RE4, right? Which like relates to a much less like fraught group of people in very much the same way, right? There is kind of a structural reactionary element, I think, to these games, right? That's not uncommon to action films, right? This is like part of the bread and butter of it, I think. And this like plays into that. And I was not like offended. I was just kind of like, that's crazy. You know?
It was more like the meme where it's like, why'd you say fuck me for?
yeah, literally. Oh my God.
Never in a million years did I expect that plot
Right.
twist
Well,
that
I think I
in
don't
this
know that
game.
people, because I know that people are like, oh, I was talking with Ed about this because he was like, people don't really talk about this game very much. They just talk about it needing a remake, or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like, I don't know that they can do it because of this element, right? That it's like, either you don't change it and then there's outrage like surrounding that, right? Or sort of like people rediscovering this element of the game, right? Or you do change it and there's like a bunch of chuds who are like, what the hell? You made the game woke. Right. And I was also surprised that like Alexia is real. It ends up like, this is also the thing is it ends up being sort of psychologically grounded, like to be clear, in a totally absurd and completely hysterically weird way, right? This is not like how a real human being does not act like this, right? Mm-hmm. This is like a really weird explanation for cross-dressing, right? And that it is clearly just meant to like dehumanize this character, right? But I was surprised that it's like, oh, it's not just that like he's a freak, right? It's that he misses his sister, right? And like wants to have this connection to her, that like she is forbidding by nature of like her wanting power, right? And like that's like there's something there, I guess. I think you could do it differently. It doesn't need to be like this,
Yeah, I think you could do it differently, but like the thing that I take away from it is because like so much of the evil of this game is about the bloodline of the Red Furge or whatever, right?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so it's like about this genetic superiority, but then you throw like gender into the mix, and it's like, well, that doesn't really gel with what we're going for here.
Yeah.
Much at
all.
I
think it's also, I think the way you could read that potentially is sort of like the, I mean, again, but like sort of the like homosexuality is bourgeois, right?
Yeah,
like it's an excess of the upper classes that, that like the good working people of Canada can end, I guess.
Yeah. Right. Oh
right.
my God. Right. Yeah.
But
Claire Redfield is too busy paying for transgender surgeries in prisons.
Oh my God.
Some bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I do think it's like I guess I know that this is in part because we are existing in a particular moment surrounding trans rights, for lack of a better term, like in the United States, where there is like, an increased awareness and in some areas an increased acceptance and knowledge surrounding trans people. And there was also like an intense hostility, that also sort of comes from that awareness. I sort of have a skepticism towards things like Trans Visibility Day for this reason. I'm sort of like, well, visible to whom? What does that mean? And in some ways, like I look back on the 90s and the early 2000s where like people were aware of trans people existing, but it was sort of out of like the public eye in the same way. And it was the kind of thing that you would get jokes about on sitcoms, but it's sort of like, that's not a real person you would encounter. I think that there's a dismissal of that having something to do with my life at sort of the heart. It's like, oh, there's freaks over there that do this, and that doesn't really mean anything for me. Right. And I would much rather, and that is still bigoted and in some ways still harmful, right? I would take that over like, what if the transgenders are coming to destroy my children, to groom them, to change them into something they're not, right? And that is like an imminent existential threat that can happen from my child going to the library or being at school, right? Mm-hmm. Like that to me is like way more sort of like immediately threatening, immediately like, life destroying than being like, oh, look at that weirdo, right?
Yeah.
And so, I was also not like trans in this period, and I don't know what that was like. And what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be like, it was definitely better back then. I don't know that for sure. I just sort of feel there is some like, this is the sort of thing that I would take over the sort of like broad structural transphobia that we are living in now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is just, I think there's a way If I could write this, I could write this more interesting. I could do it.
Yeah.
I think if your one connection to life is uh is your sister that you have anxious attachment towards. if I think you'd get some gender feelings if in the intervening years.
Right. Oh my god.
I think that would happen. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh.
It is such a leap from the like background reactionary tendencies of like Resident Evil games.
Yeah.
To go, because it's like it would be like if Leon said something racially charged in RE4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. No, it is kind of like that. Oh my god.
Because like nobody's like, as far as I remember in like 4 and 5, nobody calls attention to the types of people that they are killing really in the dialogue.
Right, yeah. No,
whereas here is just like she just let it hang out.
Right, yeah.
There. It's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, wow.
All right. Yeah, we got some emails if there's nothing else.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I think we covered it.
This one is from Emeris. I'm building my secret mansion and biolab and need some advice. What is the best inhospitable location to build it in? And what Byzantine security measures should I employ?
So one of my first thoughts is like you should have some weird fixation on an animal that relates back to your childhood. So I think for me it'd be like you'd find a journal entry, be like, I saw this majestic deer in the wilderness, and it reminded me of the importance of my family name or whatever. And then there's like 2 eyes and stag horns or something that you have to put into a wall or whatever. Yeah. So I think this is a very personal question. So you got to like meditate on like what kind of, but you got to have something like that. Yeah, and I don't know. I kind of feel like a desert location would be cool for something like this. We haven't really had that in Resident Evil. I think. That I remember anyway.
Well, we have RE5, I guess.
I guess that's true. Because it is sort of dusty town, shanty town in that first area. Yeah, that's true. But it's like, but you like after that you like get on the river or whatever. God, that game sucks. Oh.
Hey, but you know what? This Chris Redfield Canadian 1, 2 pre-Boulder,
True, yeah.
Different.
Oh
he would have been able to open that door for Claire if it was
right. He could just punch through it.
World, exactly.
Yeah.
We wouldn't need to activate the security self-destruct.
Oh my god, yeah. That's so crazy. The only way we can open this door is by blowing the entire facility up.
Also, like, if they were evil, they would have just killed the prisoners anyway.
True.
Why didn't they just program that?
I don't know.
I make it so every jail door opens. Dumb.
I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question. Why do they have the big axe with their dad who they've trained up and put the T-virus into, and then also with Steve? What's up with the big axe?
I don't know.
That's also like a big weapon of some kind that you have to interface with to interact with the facility. That's cool. A big sword that you gotta put into a wall or whatever.
Did any of the lizard guys have axes in either game?
I don't think so. Not that I remember. The hunters.
Yeah.
Those guys are so fucking scary in RE1.
Yeah, and they're kind of like just comical here.
Yeah, the
modeling doesn't do any favors to them.
Yeah, where you like drain the bit to get the key, the like pool of water, and then one of them jumps through the window right in your line of fire.
And I'm just like, yeah, I have a shotgun.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's all good.
Yeah. Although it was super annoying with those fucking sensors, having to avoid those.
Oh yeah, God, that's tough.
Yeah.
Tedious. Do you have any?
I did appreciate that you could evade them at least.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have any locations you would think about?
Mustafar.
Ooh, sure.
Or a underwater, like a deep underwater kind of situation.
Right. Okay. Those are both.
I'm surprised there
strong.
hasn't been more like, what are the horrors that are under our ocean type things.
Yeah. Well,
games.
Resident Evil Revelations is kind of that, right?
Is that?
Like,
I have no idea.
I think so. I think it is like underwater umbrella base situation. But I haven't played that one.
No.
But someday, I think I did. I bought a bunch of Resident Evil games in the recent Steam sale, and so I think I am gonna. So the thing is, I like them. They're nice to me. They're fun. You know, I like to shoot a zombie and put a key into a door.
Yeah, I like to do that too, but not. I woke up today relieved that I didn't have to play Code Veronica.
Yeah, I feel
more.
you. I was definitely like, when you were like, we have to delay a week, I was like, oh. Like, thank God. So it like, you know, I could sort of bracket it out a little more and like, you know, finish it last night, like in like 45 minutes. I was like, great. Like, this was not a torturous process.
I got home from being outside yesterday at like 7 p.m. and I didn't finish the game until like 1 p.m.
Jesus Christ.
Or 1 a.m. I mean.
Yeah.
Well, like, fuck, it was crazy.
Yeah. Well, no, when you messaged me and you were like, I can't get into this room, and I was like, oh, you still got a ways to go.
Yeah, it sucks. Well, then you were like, don't rush it. Just, you know, we can delay recording. I'm like, no. I need to be rid of this fucking game.
Yeah. Oh. Do you want to read the next email?
Yeah. This one's from Jen. Code Veronica X and the infamous plane fight is one of the only instances where Resident Evil's balance was off. In my mind, it's secretly one of the friendliest survival horror series where it's constantly doing adjustments behind the scenes to push you along where you're struggling. Are there any other games or series where you feel like the reputation is for being unfair or hardcore is a misunderstanding? Or in broader terms, which games have a reputation that doesn't match the experience of actually playing them to you? This is a game. This is a fucking video game.
Yeah. Well, we talked a little bit about Rule of Rose. I think there are games that have this sort of reputation for being, I mean, like Pathologic as well, right? Being unfun to play, but really interesting. And I sort of am like, oh no, they're actually kind of cool. Like, or I think, you know, I feel that way a little bit less about Rule of Rose, which is like, you know, yeah, which is a certain kind of experience, right? I just value what that experience is, I think.
Yeah, I mean, even like Flower, Sun, and Rain, which was like...
Right, yeah. We talked about that on the episode. That game is really fun throughout, I think. It's not... It doesn't hate the player.
I wish all I had to do was worry about running from place to place in that.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
That would have been awesome.
I think, yeah, like, just the way that it becomes... The bicycle gag in that part where you're running back and forth is so good. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Did you play Romeo's Dead? Probably not, right?
No.
Okay. Well, they gotta get Suda back making Kino again. It's gotta happen, but it won't.
Yeah. Though I did like the one thing about that game that I did like. Somebody like retweeted or blue skied, a post from like their launch video. Where Story's just like, this game doesn't have parrying.
Oh, that's so funny. I'm trying to think of other things. I mean, I've also been I mean, I don't know. I think with with Marathon, it's tough because I don't think that people who dislike the game are identifying something that is untrue about it. I just think that they are like either moralizing about it or like treating it as a design flaw, I guess. Like, I think the hostility is part of the design, and I'm not, and I fully get not wanting to engage with that. And I do think the game itself, like, one of the weird interesting things about it is kind of niche. I don't like, this is a game that I'm really enjoying and that a lot of my friends are getting a lot out of, but I don't really know who this is for in like a market sense. And if it really did cost like $250 million to make, like, that does feel kind of crazy that like someone in that room is not like, well, we're making something that's kind of weird, right? That's not for everybody, right? Or that doesn't have mass appeal, I guess I should say, would be the better way to phrase that. I don't, and so, so I found that conversation kind of frustrating, but that's like kind of, I don't know that they're like misapprehending it so much as they're being ungenerous in my mind, right? From my perspective. Because yeah, like the game is, you will get shot by somebody from far off, and it seems like there was very little you could have done about it, right? Or, you'll get to the final exfil and people will kill you for your loot or whatever, right? Like you have these experiences that are like hostile and dangerous, right? And that is like part of the thing.
Yeah. I will say, like, survival games as a whole, I always thought they were going to be more obtuse than they are.
Yeah.
This is the first one where it felt like it met that expectation.
Right, yeah.
But
no,
like,
I think I agree.
Fatal Frame, like, I remember being like a kid and struggling with the puzzles. Whereas now I'm just like, if I don't get it, I'll just look it up. It's fine. And it's mostly just pretty straightforward.
Right, yeah. No, I think that's right. I mean, I think these are, I don't know, it's interesting because I do think that, like, yeah, like, I think something like, people talk about Silent Hill 2 like it's this really difficult game to wade through, and to the point where it's like, well, you should just play the remake, right? That is something that people say now, unfortunately. But I don't agree. Like, I do think that game's actually pretty accessible, if you're playing it on the like medium or lower puzzle difficulty, right? Like, I think it's something that like an adult human being who has motor control can like engage with, right? I think that is like, I think that is something that's true about the genre in general. In what, you just pointed this out, right? But I do think that is something that like, these games ask something of you interpretively, like Silent Hill in particular, like ask something of you interpretively and asks you sometimes to do things that are a little bit tedious or a little bit difficult or have stakes in a way that are like beyond the stakes of a lot of different kinds of video games, right? And that's not really the same thing as it being difficult, right? Or being like inaccessible or sort of hostile, right?
Yeah. All right, we have one more from Jack. In the world of Resident Evil, getting a virus is either sick or sick.
True.
If either of you got injected by whatever virus of the week the Umbrella Corps stooges were tinkering with, what would you hope to get out of it? Giant shoulder eyeball? Being 9 feet tall? Laser boobs?
Laser boobs would be pretty sick, to be honest.
Jack also notes that I would get the virus that would make me 3 inches taller and the confidence to wear a trench coat.
Yeah, good. I like the guy. There's a guy in RE9 who like could regen injuries and shit. It's pretty cool. I feel like having Wesker powers would be sick,
Man, I do think Resident Evil is kind of boring overall. But for the part in 8 where you just put your hand back on, it's fucking awesome.
Oh,
it's so funny.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something outlandish because I don't really want a shoulder eyeball. I do want to look human, unfortunately. I'm not that kind of freak. But shout out to you. You're real ones. You're awesome. It's just not me. I want to be a cute girl. That's all I want. So, you know, but I would definitely take being able to like move super fast, or I would also, you know, if I'm Wesker, it's like, oh, the visible side of me being corrupted by this virus is that I have weird eyes. I'm like, I'll take that. That's all right.
Okay, hear me out. Albert Wesker could be the biggest ally to the trans community if he reinvested his resources into HRT treatment
oh my
instead
God.
of viruses.
Yeah. What if instead of making bioweapons, you made, you know, like more transformative home injections?
Yeah.
Think about that. You're so right. Oh my God. Yeah, but I guess that is kind of what I would want out of it. Really. You know. You mean I wouldn't have to have surgery in like these different ways? I could just put something in my body. Great. Sounds great.
I mean, worked for Steve. He turned into like a lizard guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh. LMAO. Yeah, do you have a...
Why is it okay for Steve to be a lizard guy, but not okay for Alfred to be a crossdresser?
You know what's so true? These are the things. This is the hard-hitting cultural analysis.
Because Claire is like, Steve, are you okay? You know, this is fine. I'm okay with this arrangement. If you want to go lizard mode every now and again, I'm down for that.
Right.
It was just a giant lizard guy going, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Some people would be into that, I think. I love his like shoulder spikes. Those are crazy. I could go for some shoulder spikes, actually. You know. I guess I would like something that like I could change about my body to be visually intimidating if someone is weird to me. You know?
Yeah.
And be like, oh, you're hitting on me? I'm popping the shoulder spikes. And you're going to be like, oh, shit. I'm not messing with you anymore.
Yeah. I would do the same, but for getting people to hit on me.
Oh, right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, you know, no, I mean, just to be clear, women don't hit on me. It's only men.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Fair.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for going through these trials and travails with me.
I hated it. I hated it so much.
Yeah. You truly had a miserable fucking time.
It was such a long game. I was so positive on it at the beginning too. And then I realized how long this game was, and then I had to start over. And then it is my busy season at work, and I've also have been going through a mental health crisis. Not anything to do with the video game,
right? But it was an annoyance. It was an
annoyance, and hey, if it turns out that maybe I do have BPD, this was the game I was playing that helped me realize that.
Whoa.
So there's that.
You're just like Alexia for real.
For real.
Wow. Well. Yeah, I truly appreciate it.
Did we ever... Hey, I did a panel.
Oh, did we plug this? We haven't plugged this?
I don't think we did.
We talked about it, I think, before it was up. But
if you Google MagFest 2024 David Lynch, you'll find my panel. Please watch it.
Hell yeah. Fun. Let's fucking go. Oh.
The audio was I was thankful that the audio was good and that it was legible on the video archive.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Not a guarantee.
No. So shout outs to video crew. That shit is not easy.
Yeah.
What do you have to plug?
Uh,
Oh, also we're playing fucking Faith
Faith Trilogy, yeah. Next time.
next episode.
Well, I guess I'm writing for the Bullet Points marathon issue. So, and I'm really excited about it. So keep an eye out for that. And I'm writing other things. Grace Machine at bluesky.social. GraceandTheMachine.com.
Yeah.
It's up to our Patreon. Etc. Etc.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I just realized we didn't talk about Steve shooting his dad. He's a zombie now. Because I was going to go, Father! But I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense.
Oh my. Okay. This game does deserve to be in the conversation for like bad Capcom voice acting.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God.
Like people talk about Mega Man X4 all the time, but like this is up there.
Yeah.
When that part when Steve was like, it looks like Chris will fulfill his promise. Unfortunately, I am sorry, I will not.
Yeah. I'm glad I met you. It's so fucking funny. Oh my God. I do think Resident Evil should be a bad B movie and not whatever RE9 is. Yeah. Anyway. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.